artists! Let's make some pinwheels. I'm excited for everybody to have pinwheels so that we can have them out the windows of our cars spinning in the wind during our drive by on the last day of school. The teachers will have them, and I hope you will too. So I'm going to show you some different ways of making them. These are some materials that might help you make a pinwheel. It's okay if you don't have all of them. You can adapt as you need to. I actually stuck 2 sticky notes together to see if I can make a little tiny one that's different, colored on 2 sides. I got a piece of junk mail, so maybe I could use magazine pages if I needed them. I have an old piece of artwork that I made before that I might be willing to cut up and make into a pinwheel. I made this with Miss James' 2nd grade class. Hi, Miss James' 2nd grade class. Or I just have some regular old lined paper or white paper. If you have any of those things, they'll work. If you have colored paper, that's really cool. If you have access to scrapbook paper or origami paper, those are really good too. It needs to start off by being a square. And I think the easiest way to get a paper to be square is to fold this side, line it up with this side, so that the fold stops right here at this tippy tip. And try to get that as perfect as you can, because the more accurate you get it, the more square your square will be. Now, could you use a ruler and measure that? Yes, you could. That's another good way to do it. Okay, so now we know that this part right here is where we need to cut, because this is the part that's making our square into a rectangle. So now we need to find out where the absolute perfect middle is. And the easiest way to do that is to fold it the other way too. And then that X of folds that you have will tell you where the middle is. Another way you can do that is by measuring with your ruler. Okay, now I have a blue side and a white side. That's maybe not the most creative coloring in the world. I probably could have come up with something much more interesting, but I wanted to get to the pinwheel making part. So now we cut on these corners that we've made right up to wherever we decided we were going to stop. So if I measured it, I should have a mark there. If I drew a circle, I have the edge of the circle there. Right there, and stop. Right there and stop. So if I have glue, I can use it. If I have tape, I could use that. If I don't have either one of those things, we can just use the pin. I'll show you. So I'm going to put a tiny dot of glue, always on the left side. I'm going to choose the left side. Fold it down, put it just barely across the middle. Press on it until it sticks. Pressure and time. Now here's the place where we need to attach our pinwheel part to a stick to hold it by. So the simplest way to do that is to take something like a push pin or a sewing pin. But if you are having trouble finding those things, you might even be able to use a safety pin if you straighten that out a little bit. This is the easiest way. A tack, thumbtack will also work. Okay, so right there in the middle, being really careful, I'm going to poke that through there. And I'm going to be careful to have my fingers out of the way in the back so I don't accidentally poke myself. Another way of doing that, you guys might remember from class, is to put the pin down on the table and then lift up on the paper so that it goes through without the potential of poking you in the finger a little bit. Okay, so if you have a pencil with an eraser on it, you can put your pin into the side of your eraser, like that, and it can spin. Sometimes you have to make some adjustments to the hole in your paper to get the spinny thing to work just right. Another way to do that, if you don't have a pencil with an eraser on it, so you can use, there's no eraser very good here, see how it's really flat, but you can put it in this way. And that way you hold it a different way, but it still will spin. And you can even use something else that you might have, like maybe a cork. And you'll have to experiment a little bit. This is the engineering part. You'll have to experiment a little bit with what distance, how tight to put the pin in. If you put it too tight, it can't spin. But if you put it too loose, it'll flop around and be difficult that way. So here's the part where the engineering comes in. How thick of paper works the best? What if you were to use 2 pieces of paper laminated to each other? What if you were to use something a little heavier, like maybe a page from, like maybe a cover from a magazine? What if you were to stick 2 different colors of paper together? So here I'm trying something else. I'm laminating another piece of paper onto that painting that I made. And so trying another experimental one. Again, I think I probably cut too deep when I was making those cuts. I forgot to show that a button or bead really helps a lot. So the wind is really strong when I was testing them, and you can see that it was smashing my pinwheels and they weren't spinning very well. If that was stiffer paper, it probably would have worked better, but this one needs a more gentle breeze. One thing I did learn though, even with the soft paper, is that if you turn them around backwards, the strong wind doesn't hurt them and they can still spin. So that was cool. Now in this strong wind, this small size and stiff paper ended up working great. And the winner is Sticky Note Spinner. Tack, button in there, a little piece of tape, and cork. Now it's your turn. I can't wait to see what kind of pinwheels you come up with.